Hello friends, as I don't like to be monothematic, today I open my mind to a collection of curious news that are scarce in the networks, but from time to time a pearl is found. Opinion article. Former CIA director talks about UFOs. Suggests that the sightings are extraterrestrial. Says declassified videos are amazing. Obama said he knew the files on aliens. The federal government has hidden the existence of UFOs. NASA denies that it has a deal with beings from other worlds. An artificial object appears in the samples of the asteroid Ryugu, longest filament of intergalactic gas ever seen detected. South Korea lights an artificial sun of more than 100 million degrees. Brazilian forests stopped absorbing CO2 and start emitting harmful gas. China wants all human beings labeled and monitored. South Korea tests and name flying taxis to overcome traffic jams. Let's start. In a recent appearance on a radio podcast show, John Brennan, who was director of the CIA under the Obama administration, suggested that the visitor from the stars they could be behind some of the UFO sightings that have been reported. When asked if he thought that beings from other worlds exist and have visited Earth, Brennan said that it is a big presumptuous and arrogant that we believe that there is no other life from anywhere in the universe, but added that it may not conform to the requirements of what we necessarily think of as life. You really have to approach it with an open mind, but get as much data as possible and get as much applied experience as possible, said. While speaking on the subject with economist and broadcaster Tyler Cowen, Brennan said, "Life is defined in many different ways. I think it is a bit presumptuous and arrogant of us to believe that there is no other life form anywhere in the universe. Some of the phenomena that we will see remain unexplained and could in fact be some kind of phenomenon that is the result of something that we do not yet understand, and that could involve some type of activity that some might say constitutes a different way of life. I've seen some of those videos of Navy pilots, and I have to tell you, they are pretty amazing when you look at them," Brennan said in a recent interview at George Mason University's Mercatus Center. Brennan also commented on the footage that was taken of UFOs interacting with US Navy aircraft pilots. In the images, the objects fly about 30,000 feet in the air at hypersonic speeds and show no visible engines or exhaust columns typical of any currently known aircraft on Earth. Among the various recently declassified videos is the so-called Tic Tac craft captured on camera by Navy pilots in the year 2004, performing neck-breaking maneuvers and seemingly defying physics 100 miles off the Pacific coast. Brennan was careful not to confirm or deny the existence of aliens, but he adopted a curious tone. Open-minded. Brennan cited his position as an agnostic as the main reason he's so open-minded about the videos, but he declined to speculate on aliens, gods, demons, deities, superheroes, or aliens as the source of the strange sightings. The former CIA director joins the ranks of a growing number of senior officials from around the world who have expressed particular curiosity about the apparent X-Files that were declassified by the Pentagon in recent years. The federal government all these years has withheld the evidence about UFOs, said former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid in a recent documentary. NASA denies everything as usual. Unsurprisingly, NASA made a statement following rumors of a deal between the US and visitors from the stars. While the agency did not make direct reference to the interview, it did confirm that no signs of extraterrestrial life have been found at this time. According to a spokesman for the space agency, the search for life in the universe is one of the NASA's key objectives, and although no sign of extraterrestrial life has yet been found, NASA is exploring the solar system and beyond to help us answer fundamental questions, even if we are alone in the universe, collected in NBC News. NASA issued a statement denying the existence of any trace of extraterrestrial life after claims by a former Israeli military chief, according to which the US government would have an agreement with visitors from the stars, went viral. Secret base. The NASA statement comes after a surprising interview with the Hebrew newspaper Yediot Aharonot with the former head of Israel's space program went viral this week. Retired General Chaim Eshet, former head of the Israeli Defense Ministry's space unit, caused quite a stir earlier this month when he claimed that some human beings had contacted the Galactic Federation to sign a contract in order to carry out the experiment here on Earth. Of course, the rats of the experiment would be ourselves. He also claimed that there is a secret underground base of Mars, which houses representatives of the Galactic Federation and American astronauts, but declined to give any proof, adding that the American president came close to revealing the intergalactic dealings before the Federation stopped him to avoid mass hysteria on a world scale. I don't agree with this, because it is supposed that we are not prepared to know the truth, but we are less prepared to be lied. Obama knows. Obama claims to know the government files on NITIS. In an interview he gave to the program Late Show, presented by Stephen Colbert, former President Barack Obama referred to the secrets that the government keeps about UFOs and extraterrestrial life. As he said, during his tenure, he investigated classified information about. He refused to say what he found out. I can't tell you, I'm sorry, replied the Democrat when asked about the results of his search. Therefore, Colbert took the silence as a confirmation that extraterrestrial life exists. Okay, I will take that as a yes, he said, explaining, because if there was nothing, you would say there is nothing. You just played your hand. I thought you were a better poker player. Despite this analysis, Obama preferred to remain silent. Feel free to think that, he just replied. I will, Colbert replied. I used to be what the UFOs and the Roswell case were the biggest conspiracy. And now that seems so docile, the idea that the government could have an extraterrestrial spacecraft, concluded former President Obama, who gave the interview to Late Show to promote his memoirs, A Promised Land, memory book, Artificial object. An artificial object appears among the samples of the asteroid Ryugu. An artificial object has appeared among the samples of the asteroid Ryugu, brought to Earth in a capsule of the mission Hayabusa 2 in early December after a trip by 300 million kilometers. Astronomers detect the longest intergalactic gas filament ever seen, linked to a global cosmic web. The filament, a structure of hot gas that surrounds and connects galaxies, spans about 50 million light years, and it is not excluded that it may be even longer. When observing a distant group of 3 galaxy clusters located about 700 million light years away, an international team of scientists led by the University of Bonn, Germany, detected for the first time a long filament of gas whose structure is strikingly similar to those of predictions from previously made by computer simulations. The universe is believed to consist of a cosmic network made of huge gas filaments that stretch between clumps of matter. These filaments, which surround and connect galaxies and galaxy clusters, are composed of hot but extremely rarefied gas, 10 particles per cubic meter, making them very difficult to find. Much of our knowledge about gas filaments comes from computer models and calculations. In this way, the images obtained showed not only several galaxies, but also gas filaments that connect all these structures of matter. The entire filament is more than 50 million light years long, but it could be even longer, since the researchers assume that the images can only show a section of it. Artificial sun. South Korea lights an artificial sun of more than 100 million degrees. The new experiment lasts 20 seconds, twice the time that South Korea researchers marked last year. A team of South Korean physicists has succeeded in turning on holding a miniature replica of the sun in a nuclear fusion device for 20 seconds. From hydrogen, the scientists obtained a plasma, the fourth state of matter, composed of hot ions that exceed 100 million degrees of temperature. Excuse me. According to information released by the Korean Institute of Fusion Energy, this is a new world record, since several scientific centers of this same project only managed to obtain temperatures of 100 million degrees for much shorter periods of time. Thus, the previous maximum established at the end of 2018 by Korean researchers was only 1.5 seconds, and in 2019 that mark was raised to 8 seconds on 2 occasions. This technology, also used in the UK, France and other European countries, in addition to the US and China, is based on the separation of ions and electrons from hydrogen atoms to generate plasma. The second structural element of the sun, helium, also participates in this experimental platform, but within a cooling system. Short news. Brazilian forests stop absorbing CO2 and start emitting gas. Scientists have discovered that in recent decades, some forests in southeastern Brazil have had a greater difficulty in fulfilling one of their main ecological roles, removing carbon dioxide of the atmosphere. An investigation carried out over more than 3 decades in forests in 32 different regions of the state of Minas Gerais has revealed that in various cases, instead of acting as a drain of this harmful gas into our atmosphere, as it would be normally, these areas of vegetation began to function as a source of carbon dioxide. The main source of oxygen and is the sea. Massive abandonment of pets across Europe after thousands of people rushed to buy puppies in panic during the shutdown. The number of dogs and cats abandoned due to job loss and deaths related to the health crisis has skyrocketed in Portugal and other European countries, while UK animal charities warn that owners who bought puppies out of panic during the confinement, they could soon give them up. That is a very sorry news. France opens the way to create bionic soldiers. The defense minister stressed that invasive techniques to improve the performance of combatants are not on the armed forces agenda, but they must be studied so that France doesn't remain behind. The Ethics Committee of the French Ministry of Defense released a 32-page report on Tuesday with its assessment on the empowered soldier concept and overview of the use of invasive technologies that could improve the performance and capabilities of French fighters. 4 strands of DNA discovered. The formation of 4 strands of DNA has been traced in living human hair cells, allowing scientists to see how it works and its possible role in cancer. DNA generally forms the classic double helix image discovered in 1953. 2 strands wound together. Several other structures have formed in test tubes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they form with living cells. For the first time, we have been able to demonstrate that quadruple helix DNA exists in our cells as a stable structure created by normal cellular processes, said Dr. Marco Di Antonio. Launched the consumption of human meat. A team of scientists from the US has developed a homemade food kit with the brand Ouroboros that allows consumers to grow edible synthetic meat from their own human cells in an attempt to question the ethics of eating meats of any kind. Australian Army apologizes to Afghanistan for war crimes. Shock in Australia after a report on war crimes perpetrated by its soldiers in Afghanistan was released. The investigation, which was carried out by the Australian Army itself, concludes that at least 39 Afghan civilians were killed between 2005 and 2016 by members of its elite forces. China news. Electric cars will end the oil era. Emerging countries led by China are already leading the green transition towards electric vehicles, which will cause a sharp drop in the demand for crude oil and the end of era of oil petroleum. China wants all human beings to be marked and tracked. After the destruction of the economy, the next step would be to apply a global QR code system to mark and track all human beings, giving authoritarian governments like the China's the ability to restrict travel. In order to travel, you would have to obtain permission from the Chinese government to move, just like cattle. China used microwaves to attack Indian soldiers. The Chinese military deployed microwave pulse weapons to recapture a region occupied by Indian soldiers during the border clash in the Himalayas, according to a Chinese academic who may have released classified information. This is how China recovered 2 mountain tops around Lake Pangong Tso in the Ladakh region of the Himalayas, the Little Tibet, a very beautiful region, a disputed border territory between the two countries. South Korea tests unnamed flying taxis that will help solve the traffic problems of the densely populated capital, Seoul. The flying vehicles are manufactured by the Chinese company Ehang, have 2 seats and weight 350 kilograms each. South Korea has conducted an unnamed flying taxi flight tests over the densely populated capital for the first time. This trial is part of plans to commercialize urban air mobility services in 2025, Yonhap reports. Genghis Khan did not cause the fall of civilization, but climate change. A new study led by the University of Lincoln in the United Kingdom suggests that the decline and fall of the civilizations of Central Asia in the 13th century wasn't caused by the invasion of Genghis Khan and his horde, but because of climate change in the region. In all eras of humankind, there has always been climate change. This is not new. It has happened all the time. Thanks a lot for listening. Merry Christmas.